Are you thinking about building a new home here in West Michigan? Well, ultimately it comes down to two choices. Either privacy out in woods or on farmland, or convenience of being ultimately in a subdivision. And they ultimately both have pros and cons. So today we're going to completely break it down so you can understand what's going to fit your lifestyle before you break ground on your new home. Let's start with building in the woods. If you love privacy, if you love space, these are all great considerations when it comes to this. But let's take a look at all of the aspects. Couple of the pros that go with living on a bigger lot or more out in the country, it's definitely privacy. No question, a lot of people don't love small lots in subdivision. They want to have some space between neighbors. They don't want to have someone peering over the fence and checking out what's going on. And a lot of times they want to have some room to roam just the same too. Second thing we look at in this category is definitely space. Whether it's outbuildings or a pool or just a place maybe to play baseball with the kids, having space can make a huge difference in this lifestyle choice. And last but not least, a lot of times this offers some more unique lots, whether it has a pond or whether it has a bunch of woods, or even if it's just something off the beaten path. A lot of times this is exactly where we're going to find unique lots versus maybe cookie cutters. On the other side, there are some maybe cons to consider. For a lot of people, this is going to be a longer drive to the conveniences. If we're looking at shopping, sometimes schools, any of these different types of things can definitely be maybe the opposite of what you're looking for. The other side, there's more responsibility with home maintenance, from bigger driveways and snow removal to larger land and manicured areas, more down trees. Any of these type of things could absolutely show up when we're looking at larger chunks of lot. I can tell you, even for us, one of the things on a bigger lot and in the country, Halloween was an issue. The kids really would have to walk a long way to do a little bit of trick-or-treating, and I know they were always a little upset about that. Last but not least, it can be harder to find ready-to-build lots out in the country. There's usually a lot more development when it comes to access and installing utilities, and that can drive the cost up on these types of lots. You know, on the flip side, subdivisions offer some of that classic feel for a lot of people. A lot of conveniences that come along with it, and some people just absolutely love living in a neighborhood. So let's take a look at some of the pros and cons when it comes to building in a neighborhood. Number one, the utilities in a subdivision are typically all installed and right there. A good chunk of the grading is taken care of right out of the gate when a developer builds a subdivision as well. The next one on our list, close to schools. You know, for a lot of subs, being close to the schools is a very important thing. Usually a bit shorter ride, also typically a lot less travel for shopping, and a lot of the conveniences that come along with subdivision living. Last but not least, for a lot of people, one of the big pros is the community feel. Having other kids in the neighborhood for your kids to play with, a lot of times sidewalks to ride bikes or pull wagons, or all those different things, they can be giant positives for a lot of people when it comes to living in a subdivision. All right, let's take a look at some of the cons when it comes to a subdivision. Typically in a sub, you'll have less privacy, especially without a fence. It could be 3 to 4 yards down, and everybody is within talking distance at that stage. And, you know, again, this really just comes into lifestyle. Is this something that is important to you? But that's definitely one of the things that we hear pushback on when it comes to subdivision living. The other one, and I think this can be a big one for a lot of people, is homeowners association rules. Whether it's telling you what type of plants you can or can't have, or even restricting your ability to put a fence up on your own property, these are a few of the common restrictions that people complain about in a subdivision. Some subs are so strict that they're even going to go ahead and dictate what color your home can be and what type of amenities can be in it. My uncle's sub even had regulations at one time about sheds and whether or not they could put up an extra storage building in their own backyard. So a lot of people do see some resistance when it comes to homeowners associations. Not everyone is so off the charts like we hear some of these nightmare stories from homeowners associations, but there can be some drawback in some people's eyes. Next on this list, it's smaller lots. Again, this really depends on how you see it. Some people could see this as a con, not having enough room for the dog to run or the kids to play, and other people could see this as a pro, not having a lot of maintenance to put in. This one really comes down, in my eyes, to the perspective of your lifestyle and what you enjoy doing, and ultimately what's important to you about the next home you choose. Here's a quick breakdown to really help you decide. When it comes to privacy, a lot of times we're seeing, in those rural lots, high amount of privacy, a little bit lower amount in the subdivision. Cost to build, ultimately we do find that rural building can cost a little bit more because of developing the lot and access to the utilities at the lot. When it comes to subdivision, definitely a lower cost ultimately when it comes to those specific pieces. Timeline, again, it can be a little bit longer on that rural lot as you have to coordinate versus in the subdivision. Oftentimes the builder is stacking homes together and able to complete multiple different roofs within a few days as the roofers move house to house to house to house. Definitely more efficiency, and that can be an important thing for a lot of people on timeline. When it comes to lifestyle, of course, in the country or in those rural homes, we do see a lot more of just that open, quiet, nature-focused lifestyle. Definitely a positive for some people. When we start to look at subdivisions, a lot of times it's a little bit more social-based and there can be more interaction, which can appeal to people just the same. Really, this one just comes down to a lifestyle choice of what works for you. And last but not least, when it comes to maintenance, definitely a little bit more work on the bigger lots and some of the rural properties. Not as much, although without a doubt, some people can have very ornate yards in subdivisions. So that takes a ton of work, that takes a ton of effort. I would say that one could go either way, just again, depending on what you're into. There can be a lot of maintenance in both, and quite honestly, not everybody does every little thing, whether they're in a subdivision or on a rural lot for their home. So really, when we start to look at the two, the big question is what works for you and ultimately what works for your lifestyle. Are you interested in being a little bit more secluded? Are you interested in a little bit more of that country life? Do you maybe want chickens or goats in the backyard? Or are you interested in the neighborhood and the amenities that come along with that? Having different kids for your kids to play with, or even more neighbors for you to socialize with at that stage? Are you interested in maybe being a little bit closer to the city or to shopping and those different things as well? It really all comes down to what fits your lifestyle. Both offer ultimately incredible opportunities when it comes to lifestyle here in West Michigan. If you're still not sure what could work for you, reach out to me. I would love to show you what's available in our area to see if any of the lots or even the homes that are currently in process might meet your needs for the right lifestyle. My contact information is in the description below. And as always, if you got value out of this video, like and subscribe because it helps me reach more people with these videos every single week. See you on the next video.